I'll never forget the phone call I received at 2:30 in the morning 3 years ago. My Uncle Jim was rushed to the emergency room with chest pain so severe he couldn't catch his breath. The doctors told us his arteries were 85% blocked. Decades of plaque buildup had turned his blood vessels into narrow, hardened tubes, barely allowing blood to flow to his heart. As I sat in that sterile hospital waiting room, watching my 68-year-old uncle fight for his life, I was upset because I had never told my uncle about the specific foods that could have prevented this crisis. Why didn't I share what I knew about natural artery cleansing foods? That question haunts me for months. Hi, it's Vernon again, and that night changed everything for me. I spent the next 2 years diving deeper into research, studying every piece of evidence about foods that can actually dissolve arterial plaque and restore healthy blood circulation. What I discovered was so powerful that I knew I had to share it, because I never want anyone else to go through what my family experienced that night. Today, I'm revealing 3 specific foods that don't just prevent heart attacks, they actively clean out your arteries naturally. These aren't expensive superfoods or hard to find ingredients. If you're over 60 or care about someone who is, please don't skip this video. Before we dive in, make sure to like and subscribe. You'll get more videos just like this, packed with science-based strategies to protect your heart and live longer, stronger. Now, I'll take a look at a food that works quietly but powerfully behind the scene of supporting blood flow, lowering inflammation, and nourishing your heart. Food number 1, pomegranates. 3 days after my Uncle Jim was released from the hospital, I drove to his house with a bag of groceries. He was sitting on his porch, looking frail and defeated. The man who used to work 12-hour days in his garden could barely walk to his mailbox without getting winded. Uncle Jim, I said, pulling out a container of ruby red pomegranate seeds, I really need you to trust me on this. I want you to eat a handful of these every morning. He looked at me like I had lost my mind. Vernon, the doctors gave me 5 different medications. You really think fruit is going to fix arteries that are 85% blocked? That's when I told him about the study that had kept me awake for weeks. The American Journal of Cardiology published research in 2019 that followed adults with serious cardiovascular disease for an entire year. Half received pomegranate extract daily, half got nothing special. The results? A 30% reduction in arterial plaque thickness. Not prevention, actual reversal. Arteries getting cleaner, blood flow improving, hearts healing. He stared at those seeds for a long moment. So you're telling me these little things can actually clean out my arteries? Here's what I explained to him, what I've learned from diving deep into the science. Pomegranates contain compounds called punicalagins that do something extraordinary in our bodies. They don't just fight the cholesterol everyone talks about, they target the real villain behind arterial plaque, chronic inflammation. See, when our artery walls get inflamed, they become sticky, like flypaper for cholesterol and other debris floating through our bloodstream. But punicalagins work differently than anything else I've studied. They increase nitric oxide production in our blood vessels. Think of nitric oxide as a gentle whisper telling your arteries to relax, to widen, to let blood flow freely again. What makes this so powerful for those of us over 60 is that pomegranates don't just prevent new problems. They actually help dissolve existing plaque. Your arteries can literally become cleaner over time. He started eating those pomegranate seeds religiously. Every morning at 7 a.m., he'd text me a photo of his breakfast bowl with those ruby gems scattered on top. Medicine disguised as fruit, he'd joke, but I could hear the hope creeping back into his voice. Now it's your turn. Try adding a handful of pomegranate seeds to your breakfast for the next 7 days. Then come back and tell me what changes you feel, energy, focus, or something deeper. Your experience means a lot, and I'm honored to celebrate your success alongside you. 2 months later, Jim called me with excitement I hadn't heard from him in years. His follow-up appointment showed improved blood flow, and his cardiologist was amazed at how much stronger his heart sounded. Whatever you're doing, the doctor told him, keep doing it. That first win with pomegranates gave us momentum. I had opened the door, and now was time to bring in the next food that would take Jim's healing further. Food number 2. Fatty fish. What if I told you that researchers tracked over 2,600 adults aged 65 and older for 5 years and discovered something that could revolutionize how I think about reversing heart disease? The Journal of the American Heart Association published this groundbreaking study in 2020, and the results were staggering. Those who ate fatty fish at least twice per week had 40% less arterial plaque buildup compared to those who rarely ate fish. Even more remarkable, participants who already had significant plaque showed actual reversal. Their arteries became cleaner over time. The secret lies in omega-3 fatty acids. These powerful compounds do something remarkable for cleaning arteries. They reduce inflammation throughout your entire cardiovascular system. Remember, inflammation is what makes plaque stick to artery walls in the first place. When I reduce that inflammation, I create an environment where existing plaque becomes less stable and can actually be broken down by our body's natural processes. But omega-3s do something else that's crucial for senior cardiovascular health. They help balance our cholesterol levels. Instead of just lowering the bad LDL cholesterol, omega-3s actually increase our good HDL cholesterol. This HDL cholesterol acts like a cleanup crew, traveling through our bloodstream and literally pulling cholesterol out of artery walls. 6 weeks into Jim's pomegranate routine, I knew it was time to introduce the second weapon in our arsenal. I drove over to his house with a cooler full of fresh salmon, mackerel, and sardines. Salmon, mackerel, sardines. I told him, twice a week, minimum. These aren't just delicious, they're like medicine for your blood vessels. He wrinkled his nose. He'd been a meat and potatoes guy his whole life. Fish twice a week? Vernon, you're asking a lot here. I sat down beside him on his porch and pulled out my phone, showing him the research numbers. Jim, I said, looking him straight in the eye, you're sitting at 85% blockage. This study shows people with existing plaque actually saw reversal. This could be the difference between living to see your grandchildren graduate and, well, That got his attention. His granddaughter was only 16, with college still ahead of her. His wife, Martha, became my ally in this mission. She started preparing salmon dinners twice a week, experimenting with different seasonings to make them appealing to her stubborn husband. I also reminded them about something I learned through years of working with seniors. We need to be careful about how we combine certain foods. For instance, I always tell my clients to avoid drinking lemon water with their fish meals, as the high acidity can sometimes trigger heartburn, especially in older adults. 3 months into adding fatty fish to his routine, his blood work told an incredible story. His total cholesterol had dropped from 280 to 210, but more importantly, his HDL had increased from 35 to 52. His doctor was so impressed that he reduced one of his medications. He told me over the phone, I haven't felt this good in 10 years. My chest doesn't feel tight anymore, and I can actually walk up the stairs without stopping halfway. But Jim's transformation wasn't complete yet. There was one more food group that would take his arterial health to the next level. Food number 3, leafy green vegetables. There's a lesson my grandmother taught me decades ago that I never truly understood until I watched my Uncle Jim's transformation. The most powerful medicine grows closest to home. She'd say this while tending to her vegetable garden, but I always thought she was being poetic. Now, if you've been following my channel for a while, you've heard me talk about leafy green vegetables countless times. I've shared how they support joint health, protect brain function, and slow down aging. You can check out one of those videos in the link I've included in the description below. But what I haven't fully explained is their incredible power to clean your arteries, and this became crystal clear through Jim's journey. 4 months into his recovery, something amazing happened. He was feeling so energetic that he decided to resurrect his old vegetable garden. Vernon, he told me with more enthusiasm than I'd heard in years, if I'm going to be eating all this healthy food, I might as well grow some of it myself. I watched him plant rows of spinach, kale, and arugula with the same determination he'd shown in beating his heart disease. What he didn't realize was that he was creating his own pharmacy in his backyard. Every morning, I see him out there harvesting fresh greens, his movement stronger and more confident than they'd been in years. Martha would blend handfuls of these garden treasures into his breakfast smoothie along with his pomegranate seeds. At lunch, he'd have a big salad with mixed greens from his own soil. And dinner always featured some form of cooked leafy vegetables, sauteed kale, steamed collard greens, or roasted Brussels sprouts. What makes leafy greens particularly valuable for seniors like Jim is their incredible nutrient density. They're loaded with folate, which helps reduce homocysteine levels in our blood, High homocysteine is a hidden risk factor for cardiovascular disease that many people don't even know about. Leafy greens also provide vitamin K, which helps prevent calcium from building up in our arteries where it doesn't belong. The beauty of leafy greens is their accessibility. Unlike expensive superfoods, greens are affordable, available year-round, and can be prepared countless ways. Jim proved that even someone who'd avoided vegetables his whole life could learn to love them when they came from his own garden. 6 months after I started him on this 3-food protocol, his cardiologist scheduled a follow-up angiogram, the same test that had originally revealed his 85% blockage. We were all nervous as we waited for the results. When the doctor walked into the room, he was shaking his head in disbelief. "I've never seen anything like this in 30 years of practice. Your blockage has decreased to 45%. Your arteries show significant improvement in flexibility and blood flow. Whatever you're doing is working better than most medications I prescribe." He looked at me with tears in his eyes. 3 foods, Vernon. 3 simple foods changed everything. He had unknowingly created the perfect storm for arterial healing right in his own backyard. At that moment, the data from the 2021 nitric oxide biology and chemistry study made perfect sense. Leafy greens such as spinach, kale, and arugula contain high levels of natural nitrates. When consumed, these nitrates are transformed into nitric oxide compound that promotes vessel relaxation and expansion, just like the effects seen with pomegranate. According to the study, people who regularly ate leafy greens had arteries that were 20% more flexible compared to those who consumed them infrequently. So far, we've explored 3 simple foods each, with a unique role in supporting cleaner, healthier arteries. Pomegranates, fatty fish, and leafy green vegetables work together like a symphony for my Uncle Jim's arterial health. The pomegranates provided powerful antioxidants that fight inflammation and help break down existing plaque. The fatty fish delivered omega-3s that reduced inflammation and balanced cholesterol levels. And the leafy greens supplied natural nitrates that helped his arteries relax and stay flexible. Today, nearly 2 years later, Jim maintains his routine religiously. Most mornings, he starts with a smoothie that includes spinach and pomegranate seeds from his garden. He eats salmon or sardines twice a week, and he always has a big salad with mixed greens for lunch. It's not complicated, but it's consistent. What I want you to understand is that cleaning your arteries naturally isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every time you choose one of these foods, you're giving your cardiovascular system the tools it needs to heal and protect itself. You're taking control of your health in a way that's gentle, sustainable, and backed by solid science. Your arteries have an incredible capacity to repair themselves when you give them the right support. These foods aren't just preventing future problems. They're actively helping to reverse damage that may have already occurred. Have you ever eaten these foods with the goal of cleaning out your arteries? Type number 1 in the comments to let me know. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more heart-healthy guidance made just for you. You're not alone on this journey. I'm here to walk it with you every step of the way. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.